And once again, we are live. Welcome back to Empire State of Baseball. Today is Monday, June the 13th, 2022. It is another edition of our program, and your boy has returned. It's been a while, gentlemen. It's good, bad to see you all once again. But hey, listen, props to Matt Tucker for holding it down and carrying all three of you guys last week.
Yeah, Chooch of the Week was the host of the week last week, filling in for good old Rich Rivera here. But yeah, welcome back, boys. Another Monday upon us. Another weekend has gone and come and gone as quickly as they always do. And we're here for another work week. But we know tonight is all of your favorite nights of the week. Tom, how you feeling on this beautiful Monday morning or evening?
Yeah, evening. It's confusing though because it's like still bright out. It looks like it could be 5 o'clock out there, but it's 8. Feeling good. Yankees off another strong series. Really just smacking around. Granted, a bad team, but doing to a bad team what should be done to a bad team, and that is just kind of put the foot on the throat. And good time had. Sad to see Rich back. Was kind of hoping Chooch stayed, and we could have just kept this trajectory going up, but now I feel like we're going to be coming back down to earth. So I apologize to all the viewers out there for the below average show we're going to have today.
Yeah, throwing all those shots all the way from a different country. Tough guy, Tom. Missed you, bud.
All right, hardly a different country, but okay.
Always exclusively airing on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. Welcome back to the show. Joe, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I am thankful that the Mets will not have to play a West Coast game until, I believe, September. So no more 10 o'clock games. Thank God. And I got to say, the Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV, I was very pleasantly surprised at the broadcast, basically because they brought in Wayne Randazzo, who is the Mets radio announcer. So it made the viewing experience much better. So I did enjoy that on Friday night, but yeah, I'll be happy. I'll be happy tomorrow with the nice, crisp 7:05 start time.
This is not a topic for the show, though. It kind of makes you think because those West Coast games are annoying here over in the New York, New Jersey area. Do you think it might be a thing in the future where Major League Baseball just splits the leagues into an Eastern and Western conference just to help out with the TV schedule?
I don't think so, just because like the American League and the National League are so entrenched. Like, can you imagine like the Dodgers like not being in the National League, or the Yankees in the American League, or the Red Sox? It just wouldn't sound right. Honestly, I know it was definitely a tough stretch for the Mets fans being able to watch the team. Definitely not like it was a bad trip for them. But I almost rather it just be all in one big bunch like that and just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and get yourself a little breather from the daily baseball and, get really back into it, rejuvenate it, ready for some East Coast games.
100%. Because I might have watched in the last week or so, especially, maybe about 7 innings worth of baseball scattered each night. Because, listen, I'm going to sleep. I got work in the morning. I'm not trying to stay up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock every day, especially watching the Dodgers, all the pitching changes they make. Those games could drag on forever. All of a sudden, it's midnight. You're still in the 5th inning, which is a little absurd.
Well, that's the thing. The Dodgers still start their games at 10:10, I believe. The Angels and the Padres at least start their games at like 9:40. So you get another 2 innings before you basically crash.
Correct.
Whereas the Dodgers, you barely start the game. I mean, I'm checked out at the 3rd inning, unless it was the last game of the series. I think started at 7 o'clock or something like that. But it stinks. But I'm glad that it's done. I think the Mets only have like a handful of games later than 8 o'clock the rest of the year, so that makes life a lot easier. And hey, listen, when you go to the West Coast and you play the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Angels, who are supposed to be better than they are, and you walk away 5-5 in a 10-game road trip, 10 consecutive games, that's a win in my book. So I think the Mets can be proud of what they've done over the past 25 days. I think they've played like 16 games on the West Coast.
Oh yeah, it's an absurd number.
It was a brutal brutal stretch from the Mets just from not being home and the travel and everything like that. So, you know what? The Mets fans should feel comfortable, and everybody needs to calm down. All right. Mets Twitter is blowing up. They're going crazy that their lead is shrinking, that the Braves are, coming and all this stuff. Everyone needs to calm down. The Braves just played 6 of the last 9 games against the Pirates. So everybody needs to calm down.
So I guess then, because we were going to get into it a little bit more with Queen's Gambit, we should just get right into it. But before we get into it officially, Corey, tell the good folks here over on Twitch how to tell their friends to follow us here on the Twitch platform.
Of course. Here we go, gentlemen. Twitch spot. Here we go. Download the Twitch app and subscribe to Empire State of Baseball. Again, you can check out our Twitter because the link is in the bio. Again, download Twitch and subscribe to Empire State of Baseball. You will get an alert as soon as the show starts. And who knows, there are going to be those days in the future, we might mention this later on, that we might have some different start times. I know we had a Tuesday start one night. We might have a later start another night coming up. We got 4th of July is on a Monday this year, so that might be on a Tuesday. So make sure to follow us on Twitch because you will get the alerts once we get live.
Yeah, Corey is absolutely right. A lot of different start times coming up within the next few weeks, but we'll get into that, those more details either later tonight for next week's show. Joe, let's continue with your point here into the Queen's Gambit. Should the New York Mets fans push the panic button? Obviously, their 10, I think it was 10 or 10 and a half game lead that they once had over the Braves is now shrink down to, I believe, 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. So the Braves have caught the Mets, and it's not really on the Mets here. The Braves have just been scorching hot. Obviously, those couple of losses, I think, to the Dodgers kind of hurt the Mets there because the Braves were able to take a couple of games and advance in the standings there. But Joe, let's continue on here and talk over our Mets faithful who are going nuts on Twitter right now.
Yeah,
over the standings.
You know what? When you get these stretches of games, and listen, the Braves already went to LA. They already went to San Diego. That was the second week of the season that they were already there. The last 10 games were against Pittsburgh, Oakland, and Colorado. And then they had Arizona before that. So they have gotten themselves on their stretch. And now they got Washington coming in and the Cubs. So they're going to have a stretch here of the next 16 games where they basically play all bottom feeders. But guess what's around the corner from that? They got 4 games with San Francisco coming into their park and then 3 games against the Dodgers in their park before they go on the road to Philly for 3 games against Philadelphia. So this evens out. The Mets have been the Mets have done their job. The Braves have done their job. You know what? You do not expect to maintain the same lead walking into LA and San Diego that you do when the other team is versing the Pirates and the Rockies and the A's. So in this case, I think we all expected the Mets to drop a couple games. It's not a big deal. They still have a 5.5 game lead. Think of it this way. The Braves just went on the best run that they could do, and they probably will win some more games in the next week. And the Mets still are more than a week's worth of games up on them. For the Mets, everybody needs to calm down. The Phillies, same thing. Phillies got hot, played the right teams. They caught the Brewers at the right time. But at the end of the day, the Phillies still have massive flaws in that roster. And if 2 teams can go on double-digit win streaks and still be 5.5 to, I don't know what Philly is, 8.5 back, to be 5.5 and 8.5 back from the first place team, you're sitting pretty when you were 5-5 in your last 10. So it's nothing to panic about. The Mets are in good shape. I don't see this as an issue. And Scherzer's throwing bat in practice tomorrow and may go for a rehab start by the end of the week.
Yeah, I'm honestly not too worried myself either. I know there's so much panic, and that's the nature of Met fans. You know, you grow up in a town where you see your crosstown rival winning championship after championship, and you see a Mets team which collapses after collapses. So listen, but it's overreaction. It's a clear overreaction. The Mets right now are still the best team in the National League. Mets and Yankees, only 2 teams with 40 wins. this season. But listen,
Oh yeah,
I think the best team in baseball.
well, that's a topic for later. That's a topic for later. We will certainly get into that.
We'll circle around that. Yeah.
Joe, go find your clown nose and put it on for later. You want to look your best for this.
Yeah. But listen, Mets right now in June. I know June always has a stigma around the Mets. It's a month where typically a nice start tends to fade away a little bit early. But they're 6-5, and that's playing arguably the second best team in the National League. Some people still think the Dodgers are the best team in the National League. I personally don't. I think it's our New York Mets. But yeah, the Dodgers, you have the Padres. I mean, you spent, like we said before, 16 of their last 22 games out on the West Coast. I will sign up for 6-5 any day of the week. And that's also without Scherzer, without DeGrom. You had Marte and Alonso miss a little bit of time on that stretch. Luckily, both their injuries were nothing of relevance, and they came back right away, which was awesome. I will definitely sign up for 6-5. And look at it this way. Braves are the hottest team in the league with their cupcake schedule, just won 11 games in a row. Granted, Braves are a lot better team than what their record was just a couple of weeks back. I'm not worried about the Phillies. They're a very flawed team. They'll hit for power, but everything else is trash with them. But listen, with the Braves, they won 11 games in a row. The Mets were basically 500, and they're still 5.5 games back. That's how big of a lead that the Mets put on to start the season. The Mets now schedule to get a little easier. You're back home. Hopefully you have these aces coming back within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Get them on the mound. And the Braves are not going to win 20-plus games in a row, all right? They're going to start to lose some. Law of averages are going to play itself out, and the Mets are going to be fine.
Plus, outside of the upcoming 2 series that the Braves have, which, again, could be part of that cupcake schedule you just mentioned before, they do face the Nationals and the Cubs, but they follow that up with 4 games against the Giants, 3 games against the Dodgers, another 3 games against the Phillies. The Reds can be beaten by a team of scrubs, any team of scrubs, really. And then 4 games against the Cardinals. So the Braves are going to have they're going to be tested as well for these next couple of weeks. Actually, could help you guys in the standings a bit.
I mean, think about it this way: the Mets just went through that part of the schedule. They just played 8 games against St. Louis in the past month and a half. They just played against all these teams out west. So the Mets have gone through probably the hardest part of their schedule, and they still got the Brewers coming in, which is a tough team. And I'm not sure who they play after the Brewers.
You got the Marlins for 4, the Astros for 2, then the Marlins for 3 again.
Yep.
Right. So you have a tough part here. This is the last hurrah of tough teams until you go back into the division. They have the Brewers coming in and the Astros coming in. Those will be the 2 tests. Although the Brewers can't hit. The Brewers have no offense to speak of, even though their pitching is fantastic. And, we're going to have to see what happens. But, the Mets fans shouldn't be worried that they have the second best record in baseball. I think they're the best team in baseball. I think the best team in the NL now that Buehler has gone down for the Dodgers. I think that's a big problem for the Dodgers. I think they're in a lot of trouble, and I think they're in for a big dog fight out there out west. So, I wouldn't worry right now.
But, of course, Buehler goes down right before the Braves have to play them in a week or so.
Don't remind me of that. Fantasy implications right there. Tom, what do you got on this, bud?
I mean, listen, I know Mets fans and Joe particularly think I hate the Mets, and I don't hate the Mets. I do think they are the best team in the NL, and they are going to get back at some point 2 of the top 5 pitchers in the NL, in the next coming months. Easily the 2 of the top 5, maybe the top 2 with Scherzer and DeGrom eventually. So I think they're in a good spot. They've they built up that lead for a purpose. Like that's why you build up those leads, because you can go on a 500 trip out west and you're okay. Like that's why you play the games. That's why all the games matter. Even though I guess Joe only thinks games against teams that are the NL defending champs and stuff matter. But yeah, I think the Mets are still in good shape. They're a very good team. They're gonna get better once they get some of that pitching back. And yeah, they do have a little bit of an easier stretch now. Let's see if they could stretch out that lead back to 7-8 games, or if they go the other way with it. Listen, the Braves are hot. They're going to lose though. I don't think the Braves are going to win the next 100 games and finish the season. So, there's a lot of baseball to be played still. But I think the Mets are in a good spot.
Yeah, and like you guys all touched on it, but like without Scherzer and DeGrom, the Mets have gotten some good filler performances with Peterson and Trevor Williams in there, and McGill had just returned off the IL. So slowly but surely, they're getting the troops back, and they're going to be better for it. And then obviously, we're going to get into it down the line, but the old trade deadline is just around the corner. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves the Mets make in particular, and what they're going to.
The Mets have only, Joe or Corey, correct me, I was trying to look this up before. I think you guys have only played the Braves once this year, right? You split a 4-game series, and that's it. So there's a lot of games against the Braves to go. I don't know how many times you played the Phillies. At least 2 series, right?
A lot. Yeah, the Phillies.
So
we've handled well.
Listen, it'll be a situation, similar to what the Yankees are probably going to have when we talk about them in a little bit, that they're going to be able to handle their business with a lot more games against the Rays and the Jays coming up. The Mets can handle their business against the Braves and kind of have fate in their own hands, especially once they get it, because they think they don't play the Braves again for a while.
I think it's prior to the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like I'm looking at July 10th. So in a month, you play them in a month, and then even after that, it's a little bit until you play them again, I think. So
I'm just looking at the July 26th and 27th games right now as a potential great 2 games to review here on ESB. Might have to do a live stream.
Yeah, that would definitely. I'm definitely down for that, man. A little Subway Series action in the end of July. Nice summer series. Listen, while we talk about summer series, I want to go back and touch on the June point real quick, because I know a lot of the panic that comes with the Mets fans is the month of June. And we said right now, 6-5, that's fine. Last week or the week prior, I mentioned as long as you could go 500 until you start getting the big guns back in July, you'll be fine because you built up that big of a lead. 6-5, they're right on pace for that. Listen to this fun stat, because it just goes to emphasize how bad.
I love Corey fun stats.
Oh, yeah. Because this is.
Can we have a weekly Corey fun stat segment?
There's always weekly Corey fun stats.
We might do it.
I want a banner.
Yeah, let's do it. But here's a fun one for June to go with the Met fans' theory. It is correct. June is a trash month for the Metropolitans. 2018, perfect example. If you remember, that's the year they started 11-1. Mickey Callaway's first year. Everyone's pumped. All right, here we go. Surprise of the season. They started off the season 11-1. They started off June 1-11. So that's an interesting fun fact for how bad Junes usually are for the New York Metropolitans.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Great month for elementary school students getting out of school.
Oh, June, one of my favorite months of the year, personally.
Bad month for Mets fans, apparently.
Bad month for Mets fans. Bad month for Mets fans. We'll obviously touch more on the Mets. I'm sure in a little bit when we get into the other side of town. But we do have.
We can get into that now if you want, Rich.
You want to get into it now? You know what, Tom?
You know what? Let's get into it now, because Joe seems so ready to proclaim.
He didn't get his clown nose yet.
Well, listen, he walks around with it basically.
All right, let's do it. Let's rip it. Fuck it.
Listen, because we don't need to taint like Yankee talk later with like half of Joe talking about the Mets, because we all know that's what's gonna happen if we wait for this later. The whole like Yankee soft schedule thing, it's just yet another tired argument that not Mets fans, just general baseball fans, people who hate the Yankees like to make. Guys, you know who has the best record against over 500 teams in baseball? That would be the New York Yankees. They have the best home record in baseball. They have the best road record in baseball. They do have the best record against sub 500 teams, but those are the teams you're supposed to beat. They have the best record in one-run games in baseball.
The Mets have more wins against teams above 500 than the Yankees have played.
It's not a contest. Of course the Mets are better. The Mets are better because they're battle-tested. The Yankees have played nobody. You're telling me the Yankees have had the best record in baseball against teams above 500. They've only played 15 games against teams above 500.
That's not true. They played 22 games. They played 22. They played 22 games against teams over 500.
The Yankees
They've
have
won
22, 15-7. All right, 15-7 against teams above 500. The Mets are 23 and 15. I think 23 and 14 against teams above 500. The Mets have more wins than Yankees have games played against teams above 500.
Wait, wouldn't that mean the Yankees have a better winning percentage against these teams?
They have a significantly better win percentage.
The Yankees have
against
played
500 teams.
nobody. Less than a third of their schedule has been against teams above 500. They are beating up on
because they get beat down by the Yankees. What do you want? You have a team that's good and they come in and then they get swept.
Hold on a second. If you were to tell me which team has been more battle tested and which team going into the playoffs you would have more confidence in, it's the Mets by far. The Mets have actually played teams that they are going to play in the playoffs. The Yankees, you guys got the Astros in week 1 and think it's some divine miracle that we played the Astros already. We played the second best team in the AL. It was week 1 and they had an awful first month of the season. So come on. This is ridiculous. The Mets have gone out to the West Coast. They've actually played the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants. All right, they played the 3 next best teams in the entire league, and they played the first place division Cardinals for 7 games this year already. The Yankees have played no one. Mainly because there is no one in the AL, but that's not the point.
Also, let's get one thing right. The Yankees have not played the Astros yet, so let's just correct that situation.
Twins.
Yeah,
you played one series against the Rays. All right, pat yourself on the back, and you split that series. Big whoop.
Listen, I don't know what you want them to do. They play the teams that are on.
They're doing what they're supposed to.
They play the teams on the schedule. Let's not forget the Dodgers, who are, if not the best team in the NL, they are the second best team in the NL. Got swept by the Pirates. So you can't act like these games don't matter, and you can't act like these games. They're just like pushover games. The Yankees are beating the teams they're taking, and they're not just. They're not even just beating these teams. They are demolishing them. What they did after they had that tough game with the Cubs Friday night after a long trip home from Minnesota Thursday night. They just absolutely stomped them the way a good team is supposed to.
When has Minnesota ever beaten the Yankees?
Never, because the Yankees beat them.
When is Minnesota? Minnesota is the fakest first place team in all of baseball.
Listen, the AL Central is trash. I don't know what you want me to do about that. That's not my fault. The Yankees haven't played the Astros yet. I can't. It's coming up soon. I don't know. Again, I don't know what you want Yankee fans to do about it.
They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat.
Listen,
but if you're asking me which team is better, the team with the 5th hardest schedule in all of baseball in the Mets,
the kid with wearing the orange and blue boxers is saying the Mets are the best team in baseball. I can't believe it.
The team that has the 23rd hardest schedule in all of baseball and only has 4 more wins than the Mets
Julio Franco's
is not better than the Mets. The Mets have had a harder, tougher road. And if you ask me going into the playoffs, when you don't have to face a cupcake, when you got to face Verlander in Houston, where the Astros own the Yankees, or the Mets are facing the Dodgers, who's going to be more likely to come out on top? The answer is the Mets, because they already battled them.
It's one, Joe, you seem very angry and upset about this. 2, it's June 13th. And on June 13th, the year 2022, the Yankees are the best team in baseball. Will they be the best team in baseball come October? I don't know. They look really good right now. Mm-hmm. You can't say that they are not the best team in baseball today. And listen, we have the Yankees have a schedule ahead of them with some better teams. I'm sure, like, if the Yankees, win a good amount of those games, there'll be other excuses that the sun was in, like, the Jays' eyes, or like it was a little too cold, or like it was too hot, or something. There's always an excuse because the Yankees just can't be good, apparently. But it's still early, and they are the best team in baseball right now.
Can I ask Joe this question? Do you think this Yankees team is legitimate?
I think they're legitimate enough to win the division? Yes, absolutely. Am I confident going into the playoffs that this Yankee team is not going to do what they've done the last few years? I don't know. Because we know, and this
what
is
have
always,
the Mets done in the last few years, Joe?
this is a different team, though. The Yankees have brought back 90% of the same team. All right, they swapped out Gary Sanchez for Donaldson and Kiner Falefa. That's what the Yankee team is, almost exactly the same as last year. Am I wrong?
I would say I would disagree with that. It's a whole year of Rizzo. Nestor really only came on the second half of last year.
Aside from Donaldson and Kiner Falefa, is this not the same team that played in the playoffs last year?
I don't think it is. I think this is a different
team.
It's a better defensive team. I can tell you.
It's a better defensive team, and I give that credit to those two guys.
It's a better pitching team,
better bullpen,
and I said this all along. Minus Gary Sanchez was addition by subtraction. All right, but the Mets are a different team. Scherzer, Bassett, Marte, Canna, Escobar. That is a totally different team that they brought in there.
Minus Scherzer, what have any of them ever won?
What does it matter? Marte
was you're talking about winners,
leader and batting champion last
year. You're talking about winning teams. Like those players have never been on teams that have won anything either. It's the year 2022. You evaluate.
Scherzer's only a world champion.
I said other than Scherzer, but again, I guess the whole Mets thing has you shook here. Just thinking about the big bad Yankees. Thinking about
not like Donaldson and Kiner Falefa ever won anything.
I mean been in big playoff games. Donaldson has won an MVP.
He was in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was. Donaldson, Kiner Falefa, no, but Donaldson, yeah.
No. Yeah, and listen, I'm a man of numbers. Listen, I love seeing all these stats here, and we could talk about the strength of schedule all we want, but the last team that I would want to play right now are the New York Yankees. I think right now, I mean, the way they're going about it, and it's almost like every night I'm sitting down, and even if it's a tie game, 0-0, if they're losing by a run or so, I always feel like I might as well throw a few bucks on the Yankees because I know they're going to come back and win. And sure enough, not only they come back and win, they end up winning by like 5 runs because they just keep hitting the bombs, absolute missiles. I mean, look, you picked up friggin' Matt Carpenter, who was barely even in the league anymore.
That guy's different. There you go.
Look at the night that he had yesterday.
Right, that guy's a winner.
Magic.
I mean, he went absolutely off. And listen, you want to talk about records? I mean, granted, have the Mets played the most games against 500 teams? I mean, in terms of wins, they have 23 wins versus 500 teams. Second place in terms of number of wins is 18. And that goes out west to the San Diego Padres, who are 18-16. So the Mets have played a very tough schedule. Me personally, I'm extremely happy with how they've done. 15-7 on the Yankees side. Sure, it's less games without a doubt, but 15-7 is a very good record to have versus 500 teams. And even going back to the Mets and Braves discussion earlier, because this is a cool stat too. The Braves are 12-14 against a winning team. So all this false panic by Mets fans, just calm yourself, stay in your lane, and just be happy for once that it's June 13th, and we're sitting here in first place with 40 wins. I don't care.
Why can't you just be happy? You
just be happy.
Just be happy of where you're at right now, instead of just wanting to take down a superior team to your team.
No, I'm happy. I just want to be number 1 in the power rankings. That's all.
And listen, I think the schedule point is valid because, listen, in a few weeks, let's revisit this. It's June 13th. Let's come back on July 13th because I know the Yankees are about to start their gauntlet. Mets just got out of their gauntlet. We'll see who's still number 1 at that point in time. But as of today, this moment in time, the last team I want to play right now is New York.
If you want to know the difference between Yankee and Mets fans, on June 13th, Joe is crying and whining that the Mets are number 1 in the power rankings, and Yankee fans couldn't care less. It's June 13th, couldn't care less. I want to be number 1 in the power rankings at the end of October.
And listen, we're going to talk about this tough 20-game stretch that the Yankees have. And honestly, going into it, if the Yankees split that series, you still feel good as a Yankee fan about your team because you're still probably going to be in a good spot in the standings.
Listen,
and
I'll take
as
it.
Mets fans have nothing to worry about right now. Things are going well for both New York teams.
They're a great team. The Mets are a great team.
Just
listen,
enjoy.
I just feel
the
sorry.
greatest team in the city.
I feel sorry for the Yankee fans. The Yankees are having a great season,
sorry for us.
and the Mets are the number one team in New York right now because that's where all the attention is. The Mets, when the Mets are going great, the Mets are more popular in New York than the Yankees are. I think the Mets are the biggest story right now.
Oh my goodness!
I
You sit on a throne of lies.
July 26 couldn't come here any sooner. I cannot wait for that first.
I think New York is a closet NL town. It has always been an NL town. The Yankees may have the pedigree, but this town loves their National League teams. And I think when the National League team is at the top of the sport,
Yankees
the
are
Yankees
the most
get
popular
overshadowed.
team in all of team sports, but New York is a Mets town.
Wow. All right. Well,
listen,
we'll sit on that.
Yep.
You guys good?
Again,
you guys,
be happy that you guys are great. Just be happy you're great.
I'll put it this way. Yankees, best team in the AL. Mets, the best team in the NL.
I mean, that's undisputed.
It's November when we'll see who's the best team in baseball.
Oh, there you go. And we have a long time till November. But, Joe, if you're calmed down now, can you tell our fans how to view our episodes from April and May and this early part of June?
Okay, you can follow us on Twitter at ESB Podcast for our main page. We all go on there and tweet out about our favorite teams and sometimes our non-favorite teams. You can follow Corey at G Gory, myself at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, because everybody needs to know his middle initial.
Hell yeah.
And at
Jebediah.
T Wospil, or To Spill, if you prefer that, on Twitter. So feel free to tweet at us, engage with us, and liven up the discussion.
Do any of you guys actually know my middle name? It's not Julio, but that was hilarious.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's John.
Yeah,
it is John. John's my middle name.
Julio.
No, Rich Rivera was taken. I had to throw the initial. No, it would never be Julio. It would never. Shout out to my father, but I would never name my son the wrong way to pronounce Julio. All right. Let's turn it over now to our favorite Chooch. He did a hell of a job, boys, last week, at least what I thought. I think he carried all three of you guys, to be honest. Mr. Matt Tucker. Corey, what do you think of the performance from Mr. Matt last week?
Listen, I love the Chooch. The Chooch is the man. He filled in awesome last week, but the Chooch is getting a little cold with his picks here. We have to get a good follow-up pick from the Chooch this week. Let's see what he's got.
I agree. Let's see what he's got. Here we go, Matt.
What's up, ESB crew? Chooch here with Chooch's Pick of the Week. This week, we're going to go with the hottest team in baseball besides the Yankees, the Atlanta Braves. They have won their last 10 games, and this week, midweek matchup, Braves versus the Nationals. Braves kick it off Tuesday at Washington with Max Fried on the mound, which against Steven Strasburg making his second start.
Thanks.
I think the Braves are going to continue the hot streak against a bad Nationals team. And let's say they go 2 out of 3 for the series. What do you guys got?
Well, Chooch might not have been reading the papers because Strasburg was actually just placed back on the IL. Fortunate for him. Talk about one of the worst contracts ever. I'm sure we can get into that. But what do you guys got? Braves, Nationals for the upcoming series.
I mean, listen, I hope he's wrong. I hope the streak continues, Matt. I wanted you to do good. I wanted you to turn around. I hope you lose again because I want the Nationals to get a sweep in this series. It's time for the Braves to be put back into a normal reality. But I know what's going to happen. They're going to end up winning 14 straight. They're going to sweep the series.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the one team is the hottest team in baseball, and the other team is the Nationals, who stink. So I don't really know how much Chooch is going out on a limb with this pick here, and he's not even giving a sweep. So I feel like this is a void pick. But yeah, I mean, the Braves are going to win 2 out of 3. He really should have said the Braves are going to sweep the Nats, and that would have been, making a statement.
Yeah, we're going out on a limb here with the.
He really wants to get back in the win column. I can tell.
Yeah, but I can see the Braves sweeping the Nationals. The Nationals are terrible. I don't think that they have it much left to give against teams at the top of the division right now. So, sorry, my eye is bugging out as I got something in my eye.
Just that dust from that first place New York Yankees team.
I'll kick it to one of you guys while I fix my.
I'll roll with the Chooch here. I got Braves over Nats again. Not really going on a limb, but I commend him trying to get the easy Jaeger Bomber dub for this week. So good on that. I'll give him the Braves. And again, the Nats are coming off the deflating news. I mean, listen, I know it's not really part of the segment here, but Steven Strasburg, Jesus, the guy can't stay healthy. It's unbelievable that he's basically robbing the Nationals blind. And granted, he did have a great postseason. He arguably led his team to a World Series that year in 2019, but it's got to go down as one of the worst contracts ever. It has to.
At this particular moment, I think it is the worst long-term contract ever. He has made 8 starts since the end of 2019. I understand everybody says he was paid for what he did and all that stuff in the World Series. But the fact of the matter is the contract did not start until 2020. He hasn't pitched at all. When he has pitched, he's been terrible. He has like a 6.3 ERA since the start of 2020. And there's no sign from, and listen, this is a tough injury. You know what? We've seen this before. We saw this with Harvey. And you know what? Maybe Harvey is the best you're going to get coming off of this injury. This injury is still basically a death sentence for pitchers right now. I think there's a reliever who just had it. Did David Robertson have it? And he's pitching thoracic outlet. I think there's one reliever doing well off of it, but anyway, right now, I would not be confident as the Nationals that he ever comes back to form. He just can't stay healthy. And let's be real, even before the thoracic outlet, he was never a guy that would stay healthy, for long periods of time anyway. So, for me, this might go down. It's looking like this is going to go down as one of the worst contracts of all time. And it's a shame because he's one of those guys that you feel for. He's a hero. He's homegrown. He was the number 1 overall pick. Him and Harper were supposed to change the direction of that franchise. They did, but it was so short-lived, and now it's almost to the point where you just wish he figures it out. He can find a way to get healthy.
Yeah, and it's a contract that at the time, I mean, it was awesome that they did it because, I mean, like you said, he was a hometown kid, grew up playing his whole career with the Nationals, won a World Series with the Nationals. They give him the big contract, and he's thrown 30 innings since they signed him to that deal. A little early to say, is it the worst of all time? But the fact that we're having this conversation now goes to show it very well could be. And I mean, look,
you can't imagine something being worse than this.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be pretty bad. And when you think of bad contracts, I mean, just to think of a few from New York sports in general, I know Bobby Bonilla gets all the rap because of the retirement policy, but that's a norm now in baseball, is giving out those that deferred money. Nationals are getting terribly killed with that in the future as well. You look at Ellsbury, bad one with the Yankees.
A year.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
$15 million a year for the next 4, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. A lot of deferred money. I mean, you got the Jason Bay contract back in the day, but at least these guys played. I mean, at least Bay played. He was terrible, but at least he played. Strasburg's only thrown 30 innings and is getting paid so much money. I'm not going to say it's the worst contract just yet, but it's in the conversation to be there.
And obviously on the Yankees side, you can't think of anybody else mainly more than Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yep,
I mean,
right up there.
But
the other thing is, Ellsbury was good at times.
Ellsbury played.
He had times where he was good.
I agree with Tom. Ellsbury played for 4 years. You know what? Ellsbury's WAR as a Yankee is 10. He's got like about a 10 WAR for the Yankees over the course of a 4-year period. I get that the contract on the back end was rough, and the fans basically exercised him, and he couldn't stay healthy.
There's going to be an article, like a New York Times article, or a 30 for 30 one day that's going to come out about what happened to Jacoby Ellsbury, because the Yankees told him to go away, or something weird happened with him. As someone who has gone to spring training every year minus COVID, you would see him just on the side fields, just like playing catch with a coach, and then you don't see him. The last time I saw Jacoby Ellsbury, true story, was in a Starbucks in Tampa. I saw him there. I said, "What's up,
Nice.
Jake?" He said,
Damn, was he working?
"Give me." he was panhandling. He was asking for money.
Yeah.
No, Jacoby Ellsbury had he had some good time. His it was 2017 at the end when they into that playoff run with with the Astros and everything. He actually was playing pretty well at that point. But Steven Strasburg, like he has another, including this year, 2, 3, 4, 5 more years left on this. He's not going to get healthier. Like he might not ever pitch again. And at that point, you pay $245 million for 30 innings. That and it's sad because listen, in all seriousness, like you'd like to see great players, perform at their highest ability, and someone who is so talented as Strasburg and had so much just pressure on him and living up to the hype. Why are you gonna put that on the screen when I'm trying to make this point? It's just, it's a shame to see it happen, but at least he got a boatload of money out of it. So I guess, things could be worse.
All right. Thomas, YouTube.
So yeah, for those of you who aren't watching us live on Twitch, you're watching us on the replay on YouTube. Make sure you share, subscribe, let your friends know for the replays, and you can watch Joe get absolutely annihilated on a weekly basis by not just me, but even Corey was jumping in about how the Mets are not the best team in baseball. So check us out on YouTube. Again, share the link around. We appreciate all the love.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now let's flip to the other borough here, and I guess we're just gonna continue where we left off before the Chooch's pick of the week. So yeah, the Yankees. Looking at the toughest stretch thus far of this season, arguably just looking at the rest of the season, it is probably going to be their toughest stretch. They have 20 games in a row, no off days here. The Rays for 3, the Blue Jays for 3 on the road, then back to Tampa. Then Houston comes in for 4 games. Then you have Oakland for 3. Obviously not worried about that, but just for the grind of the 20 straight. And then the Astros, they go to Houston for 1 game. I think it's part of the makeup for the beginning of the year.
They were supposed to open the season in Texas, and then they were going to play Houston with the second series of the year. So I'm guessing they're just going to try to piecemeal those games together. They'll probably play a doubleheader at some point, I would guess.
They will. They have, I believe, the Astros for a doubleheader in Minute Maid after the All-Star break. So I don't know if it cut into the All-Star break as a way to be creative, but the Thursday of that week, the Yankees are playing the Astros for a doubleheader on the Thursday. And then they got the Guardians for 3 on the road as well. 20 straight for the Yanks. Maybe this will be the turn for Joe. After this, if the Yanks come up on top, maybe he'll say, all right, they played the tough teams that they needed to play. So Joe, I'll start with you of all people. How are the Yankees going to sustain this success that they currently have going into these 20 games and coming out of these 20 games the better?
I mean, this is going to be a grind. I think the pitching has to kind of maintain the level that they've been doing. I know they had a little bit of a rough stretch against the Twins. They pitched their worst series in a long time, and they were still able to kind of find their way and win a few games. Part of that due to the fact that the Twins sometimes can't get out of their own way, but some timely hitting, a couple guys stepped up. Hicks and Gallo have been better this past week. But these teams are not going to let you get away with anything. You're not going to win games, out of luck. Tampa and Houston in particular, they don't beat themselves. So you have to earn your wins against them. And if the Yankees come out of it, they're pitching still, a solid, has solid statistics and gives them quality outings every time or most of the time. And they've maintained their health, and Stanton and Judge are still there, and their pitchers are still good. That'll be the test. That'll be the way that you say, okay, Yankees have gone into the break. They faced their worst part of their schedule to date. They're still on top by whatever many games that it is, and everybody's still healthy. That's when the Yankees are going to say, okay, we're ready to go. And then how can we improve this team even further going forward? I wouldn't be surprised if they look to upgrade a corner outfield spot or center field. Gallo and Hicks One of them's destined to be replaced at some point. But as long as those pitchers maintain their health and the level of pitching, I think the level's going to fall off a little bit. We saw Nestor kind of get roughed, a couple rocky starts, split by an actual really good start. They're not going to maintain that insanely high level that they've maintained through the early part of the year. But they need quality pitching from them because
Joe, they're probably not going to contain the sustained level they're on, because then they would be the greatest baseball team ever. And if we're holding them to that standard, that's a little unfair. They're on pace, I think, at this point to win 118, 119 games. So yeah, obviously they're going to fall off. This is a tough stretch. And I think the Yankees just have to look at it similar to how the Mets just looked at that West Coast swing, and you sustain it. You get out of here, maybe a couple games over 500 on the in that stretch. Maybe you end up
11-9 throughout the stretch, maybe.
I mean, I think this team should be better than that. I would think,
I take that
like a 13-7, and you're feeling really good. 11-9, you would take, as long as you're not. The thing is, I think the big thing is you don't want to get swept by any of these teams. You don't want any of these teams to really get, confidence into a future series. You don't want to get swept by you don't want to get swept by the Rays, the Jays, or the Astros. You got to be competitive with them. And I think they're going to get through. Again, this is why all these games they've played matter. They've built up this lead. And if they're going to, most likely, if we look at a month from now, they're not going to have, what's their current lead right now? 8.5. They might not have an 8.5 game lead. They might be down to like a 5-game lead in a month and a half, but then they'll be through that stretch of the schedule. Or they could continue what they're doing. And then if they got to somewhere where they're 12 or 13 game lead in a month, then you can just call it a wrap and just, they can just start preparing that rotation for the postseason, because it'll be done. But
yeah, I just think Yankee fans need to prepare for the fact that this next 20 games, this could be that stretch where, hey, like they're not going to be on that same trajectory of wins. I just don't see this team going in there and taking 18 to 20 games. I think, like Corey just said, I think if they go 11-9,
obviously they're not going to.
I feel pretty good with an 11-9 for this stretch of games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would take it. I think they should be. I would hope they'd be a little better than that. But again, if they did something like 15-5, they're going to keep on this trajectory of being the greatest regular season team that has ever played Major League Baseball. Which there's no way, if you asked any of us 2 months ago, we would have believed that.
Yeah,
and they're not. But they're not. That's not. They're not that good of a team to.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, at this point of the year, they are, but like they're probably not going to be once we get to the end of the season. But also, literally, no other team has won that many games.
Here. We're not the lineup of the 2000 Mariners. These Yankees.
Obviously, it's not.
So that's it. It feels different. Like if I were a Yankee fan, it would feel different because I know that the team is not that good. And you guys have been playing at such a high level. I would not feel confident of somebody saying, well, the Yankees are on pace to be the best team of all time in the regular season. It would feel weird to me because objectively looking at the team is not that good. They're not that level of good. You would say that you would pick the Dodgers roster over them. It's an odd feeling. They've played so well that you're almost expecting a crash, and again, hopefully it doesn't come. And
say that with a straight face again, Joe. Say hopefully the Yankees don't have a crash with a straight face. Go on, just try it, please.
Well, I don't know which one would be better for this podcast, but
look,
Well, let's get some predictions here. 20 games in a row here. We mentioned the 11. Well, I at least mentioned the 11-9. Where do you guys think the Yankees are going to end up with these 20 games? Your prediction. This is like your Chooch's pick of the week, boys.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 11-9. Yeah, I'm personally sticking with 11-9. And I about a month ago or so, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I did say I think the Yankees' first swept loss of the season would be a 3-game set versus the Rays. You got 2 of them here. So I gotta stick. I can't
11-9 gets them to 55-25 after the stretch. I mean,
correct.
That's still very, very good, and you're
still
going to be
on
in
a
a very
torrid
good
place.
position in standings. Though.
Still on
Yeah,
a torrid pace.
The only team that is what are we taking this through? We're taking this through
The final game against the Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean they finish it against the A's and the Guardians. So definitely
Guardians over 500 team, by the way, second place in the division, the tallest midget division.
Guardians
that division is hot garbage.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even get a division winner in the playoffs, if we're being honest. A's. Listen, I'll go 13-7. I'll go 13-7. I mean, they should absolutely win 5 out of 6 against those other teams. So then that leaves them what against the rest of them? I don't want to do the math off the top of my head.
I wouldn't count. I wouldn't automatically chalk up Cleveland as a sweep. Oakland, yes, I think so. The real question is,
6, so
I think you're gonna. I think you're gonna split with the 4 games in Houston, and then who knows? Let's say you go 2-3 against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're gonna lose one of the Tampa series, 2 out of 3. I think that's fair. So that's 2 more losses right there. And then you can easily lose 2 out of 3 to Toronto, or you could sweep them. So I think somewhere in that range is good. I'm going to go the contrarian point of view and say the Yankees are overdue for a slide at some point. So I'm going to say they go 8-12 on this.
Wow, 8-12. That gets.
But I still think that's good enough that they're going to have a 5-game lead in the division when it's all said and done.
8-12,
52. So that make them 52-28 after that.
I mean, still phenomenal, but
still great. I mean, it's just like the position the Yankees put themselves in. I mean, listen, you get the schedule handed, and you've handed a lot of losses out to teams. So
you're gonna get Verlander at least once. You might get him twice.
Might get him twice.
So you're going to get him at least once. So that's going to be a thing. If you run into Shane Bieber, that could be a loss against Cleveland, even though you could play Cleveland.
Actually, believe it or not, worry more about the series following the first Houston set. Because at that point, you've played 10, I can't do math, 13 games in a row against 3 of the better teams in the American League. And then you're just trying to get through another 7 games after that. I think the Yankees could be taxed for those games, if anything. So
that's only at least they get
Oakland swept. But honestly, Oakland come in and take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees easily.
I mean, listen, any team can beat any team. That's the whole point of why
the Pirates just swept the Dodgers recently.
Exactly, but again, apparently if it doesn't match up to the strength of schedule, then wins don't matter at all. They might as well just be losses, I guess.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Yeah, listen, I think they are not going to be. I would be happily surprised if they become the all-time winningest single season, team, for one season. They're probably not going to be that. But at this point, this team's going to win well over 100 games. They should win the division. They should get one of those top 2 spots in the league. That's what matters. What really matters for any team, any of these top teams in baseball right now, I said it last week, is you want to be one of those top 2 teams so you get out of that wild card round when anything can happen. So that's where the Yankees need to hope, and they're going to want to be. It's going to be between the Astros and probably whoever wins the AL East, which at this point it looks like it should be the Yankees. And then for the Mets, that's going to be them and most likely them and the Dodgers, and that's the path you're going to want to be on to go deep into October this year.
Sexy teams too. I mean, Major League Baseball will be happy with those 4 getting those spots. Those are sexy, marketable teams.
Exactly. 100%. Rich, just to confirm, you said 11-9 as well?
I said 11-9 as well. I went into tonight 11-9, so I'm with you there, Corey.
There we go. All right, so this is what we're going to do for all the Chooches in the chat out there and all our listeners who are following us on a separate night. Tomorrow, follow us on Twitter because, again, what we'll do is we're going to have a 4 p.m. 4-pitch mix. How do you think the Yankees are going to fare in these next 20 games? You're starting with me and Rich at 11-9. Tom, well over 500 at 13-7. Joe, under 500, Or are you going to go other? Whether it's
Other.
you think you're going to go undefeated,
Mhm.
or winless. I'm sure there'll definitely be some savages who go
Yeah.
other there.
Yeah,
But feel
and
free to vote with us.
And comment your predictions for that 20 game stretch. We want to see it. So it's gonna be an interesting stretch for the Yanks. We're gonna wrap the show up soon. So just want to make sure you guys follow us on everything. Instagram at Empire State of Baseball. We do some cool stuff on the stories leading up to the shows, including some good polls. We had who's better, the better team in baseball between the Yankees and Mets. I want to check that before I get into this next segment. But make sure to follow us at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram, also on Twitter at ESB Podcast. As always, is where I feel like that's the hub of our activity throughout the week. And as Corey just mentioned, we're gonna have the big poll up there tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. So make sure to check that out. And of course, subscribe to us on Twitch. That is the best way to have instant notifications sent to your phone when we go live. We're gonna have a bunch of schedule changes over the next few weeks. We'll get into it more next week. I'll have those details out for everybody. A couple Tuesday shows. We have an early start time coming up. We'll keep you posted on all that and more. But of course, we're going to end our show with a fun bit. It is a player to be named later. Once again, running it back. And if we turn back memory lane, Corey and Matt hitting Tom and I up with Lenny Harris to start. So
You just called me Matt?
Yes, he did.
You just called me Matt.
Did I call you Matt?
Yes.
All right, Joe, fuck you. You're not Matt. All right, so
Matt's never heard of Lenny Harris.
M took 45 did such a great job. He's a staple.
I don't know if Lenny Harris's mother's ever heard of Lenny Harris.
That's fucked up. But yeah, the guy Lenny Harris.
You showed some respect.
And we got. Didn't you call Tom Espo once? Like, shut up, dude. Like, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. A player to be named later. I guess we'll start with the Mets end. What do you guys got for Tom and I?
Yeah, we got an interesting one here. All right, it's a position player who played a total of 13 years in the league. I don't want to give away too much. He started his career with the Metropolitans, but was mainly known for playing in an AL East team. I'm not going to say which team.
Can we get like a time frame here?
Within our lifetime.
Yes.
Oh, so we really have narrowed it down.
That's good enough,
Again, started his 13-year career with the New York Metropolitans, but played the majority of his career with one AL East team. He did end with 2 other National League teams, but that was towards the very, very tail end of his career. Position player.
Rob said that was disrespectful to Matt. Sorry, Matt.
Absolutely.
Let me think here. Position player.
He was an all-star.
Was an all-star. Okay.
Was an all-star. Yep. Primary meat of his career in the decade of 2000 to 2010.
Yep.
Okay.
Early part of the 2000s.
Okay. Let's see.
Hated my first guess.
Who was your first guess?
My first guess was going to be fucking Mo Vaughn.
No, I like the guess though, but
that
not
would Nah,
Started
he late 2000s. Like, nope.
Started his career as a Red Sox too.
Yep.
I forgot where he started his career. He was like, I feel like he was all over the map.
Boston, right? Pretty sure.
Did he start in Boston?
Boston. Sure. He was in Anaheim for a while.
He was Boston before that.
Yeah.
Started his career with.
I'll give another hint if you guys do need it, unless you want to take a couple steps.
Okay. You said
I keep like thinking of John Olerud, but I know that's not the answer. But like,
ironically, Olerud was one of our debating choices for tonight, but it's not.
I said that was too easy.
Also, let me hide the regular chat.
All right, I can give you.
I just caught one in the chat, and I oh man, I looked at the wrong time because I think that might be the answer. Now I'm like afraid to even like.
It's a position player.
I don't even want to credit. Position player. Okay,
I was going to say,
it is not Scott Kazmir.
Yeah,
correct.
All right.
I saw that name and I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
I was like, oh yeah, that was really
player
good.
Was traded in a heralded trade prior to the Subway Series.
Heralded trade prior to the Subway Series. Damn. So, okay, so he was traded from the Mets prior. Okay, let me think here.
And then spent all but the last 2 seasons of his career with the team that he was traded to.
Damn.
We have one more hint if you guys do need it.
Yep.
I feel like I'm going to. I'm just trying to. I'm
He
just
is
trying
a
to
much an unheralded. He is a far more useful player than he ever got credit for.
It's not Robin Ventura, I'm guessing.
Well, it's a
He
far
also
more
he
useful player than
started-
Lenny Harris. That's good.
Yeah, Robin Ventura started as a White Sox. Pretty sure when he got beat up by
2-time
Nolan
All-Star
Ryan.
and a Silver Slugger.
the Silvers. Okay,
Oh, he's a multi-time All-Star.
Yes.
let's go with. Let's go name Mets from that time. Benny Agbayani.
No,
You're gonna start this
Nope.
train now?
no.
Similar era,
No,
but
don't
all right.
do it.
Last hint. He
Okay.
started his career as both an infielder, outfielder, but primarily played the bulk of his games for the rest of his career at third base.
Okay.
Robin Ventura.
No.
No.
Still not Robin Ventura.
Not Todd Zeal, right?
Nope.
Todd Zeal's the other one I was
Getting
thinking
close.
I feel like those two go hand in hand for whatever reason. Like when
Yeah,
you
but
think
I
of
feel like
Robin Ventura,
they've
then you
been
think
they're
of
Mets
Todd
for.
Zeal. I don't know why.
I will give you one final hint if you need it. Corey, I think you went on mute.
I'm on mute. It also is in the chat, and it's also the Orioles.
Orioles. I haven't looked at the chat, but I also don't have a good
It's
guess.
not-
Oh wait.
Is that Roberto Alomar? Is it?
Jay
No?
Payton.
No.
Good
Yeah.
guess. 'Cause He did go to the Orioles. Melvin
He
Moore.
was Melvin Mora.
Melvin Mora. Oh shit.
Oh yeah, he was.
That's a
Don't
that's
tell
an
me that
incredible
that's a
player.
random guy. That
He's a
guy.
good player. I'll give him that. That's a incredible
mean,
player. We should have
yeah.
had. I didn't even think. I actually completely forgot Melvin Moore was a Met.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. I
traded
wouldn't think of
for
him
Mike
as a Met.
Bordick in 2000 after Ray Ordonez got hurt for the rest of the year.
No, Ray
And
or
that's moving to
Yes.
shortstop.
Look at that, Hank.
There is a
Melvin
Met.
Mora. Good
Yep.
stuff, Hank. In the chat. Bad job, Tom and I once again. Melvin Mora.
Yeah,
All
again,
right,
I
Tom.
wouldn't think of him as a Met. I don't think.
No, I didn't.
You
I
could have
didn't
given me all day.
I
Wouldn't have think of
completely
Melvin
forgot
Mora.
that Mora started his
Definitely
career.
remember him as an Oriole.
Yeah, I mean that's all I remembered. Yeah, I mean if I just thought mid 2000s Orioles third baseman, yeah, I would have gotten there because I remember that Mora Miguel Tejada left side for a little bit for Baltimore. Anyway, let's move over to the Yankee side of it. Tom, do you wanna give it to him?
Yeah, we could start. We'll say this gentleman also had a very long career. This one a 15-year career.
Okay.
Same era as
Okay.
Melvin Mora.
Yep, I'd say so.
Yep, definitely that same era. And also, you said Melvin Mora was what was some of his accolades?
They say he's a two-time
Two-time
All-Star,
All-Star.
right?
Okay.
Yep. Silver
So-
Slugger.
This is a Silver Slugger 3-time All-Star. We'll just stop there. So very similar, you could probably say in player to
Similar era, 3-time All-Star. Let's see. Who do we got here?
I
Fucking
got
player.
I'll give him. I'll let him try
I
to. Guess,
I gave him a lot there.
but I got a good one as a follow-up.
Let's
Did you
see.
say
Similar
you
era.
said position player, right?
He was a position player, yeah.
It is a position player.
Bernie Williams.
Not Bernie Williams.
No, Bernie
That's
Williams
true.
is a much
Not
superior
Bernie
player.
This
Some Melvin
player-
Mora.
This player has only played with 3 teams.
Okay.
You mentioned Mora started his career with the Mets. This player ended his career with the Yankees.
Oh, okay.
He
Only
so
played
much
with
already.
3 teams.
And ending his career.
Rich,
with
that's
the
enough.
Yankees-
Rich, that's enough. You've
Ichiro?
given him like 10,000 hints.
It is
Ichiro's
not
a very
Ichiro.
good guess. Not Ichiro, though.
It is not Ichiro.
Okay.
Ichiro would be
It is a
a
very
little-
good guess, though.
End of his career.
But just remember they gave us Lenny Harris before you.
You're right. You're right. I'll keep my mouth shut. Sit and
Ended
simmer,
his
boys.
career. All-Star. Ended
First
his
round
career.
pick, 5th overall pick.
Whoa, you're now giving him guesses. What are you doing?
Whoa.
Because no one's gonna know. This is listen. I'm just saying, as a talented ball player.
There's one good guess in the chat, but it's not the correct answer.
We've already used Pudge
Wow.
for another thing.
How about Raul Mondesi?
A good guess.
No,
But
not
the
Raul
correct
Mondesi, but
I like Raul Mondesi.
yeah, I gotta. I don't wanna
One
say
last
anything
hint.
Yet.
Okay, one last hint.
He played part of his that's not a great hint. Actually, he played for all the same teams Raul Mondesi played for. Raul Mondesi played for more other teams, but the 3 teams this player played for, Raul Mondesi played for all of them.
Also, I said he ended his career with the Yankees. This was the only season he played with the Yankees.
Oh,
No.
Only season.
Oh,
This was really in a bit of the.
We do have a correct guess in the chat.
Oh, I saw the chat, so I'm not going to guess. Joe, it's up to you.
Well, I got Baseball Reference blocking.
This is
He's got
really in
reference blocking, so we can
it's
try to look up the
really
answer.
in the heyday of Yankees just giving just guys on their last legs a shot.
Without saying it, is Mike Parse correct in the chat?
Yes,
He is.
Okay.
He is.
All right, so last shot, Bobby Abreu.
Another good guess, Joe, but that's not it.
Bobby Brady, much better player than this guy.
Yeah,
I would say
Bobby Abreu is a better player than this guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Both
Parse,
outfielders, though.
Good job, buddy. It is Vernon Wells.
Vernon Wells.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Vernon
Yep,
Wells
good guess.
is correct answer. It was that weird 2013 roster, Tom. A horrible year for the Yankees, but they had probably some of the most notable players that had played in the 2000s. You're talking Ichiro. You're talking Vernon Wells. They had Andrew Jones, I believe, for that year. It was the year after. I don't remember. They had Kevin Youkilis. It was a weird season.
And Travis Hafner. It was one of the years that Alfonso Soriano came back.
Absolutely. You
Mark
would have loved to
Teixeira
have
was
these guys
still there.
as a
A-Rod's
showdown
still
card.
there.
Oh my God! But yes, Vernon Wells.
First year
is the
post Jeter, I think.
No, it was still Jeter. It was pre Jeter's retirement. So that 2013, that's how they sent off Mariano Rivera with Alfonso Soriano, Travis Hafner, and all those great guys.
Was Jeter hurt that year? Oh, Jeter was hurt
yes,
that year.
Jeter was hurt.
I was looking at Baseball Reference, and the Yankee they listed Eduardo Nunez as their starting shortstop for the year, and I was like, "Oh, was that the year after Jeter?"
Yeah, no, that makes sense because Nunez took over shortstop while Jeter was hurt.
Is that when Jeter broke his ankle in the ALDS in 2012 against Detroit?
I don't know if it was related to that injury though. I think it was something else that Jeter was down with because it was just a weird year. All right, well, that'll do it for tonight's show. We thank you all once again for joining in. I see that our viewership bumped up significantly tonight. I wonder why. I wonder what was different about last week's episode and this week's episode. But I thank you guys.
Listen, people like watching a car crash and listening to you talk and watching Joe get annihilated is really what gets the clicks going.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear.
You're the one who's going to be wearing a Met jersey at the end of the year. So
let's send it around the room. Joe, we're not going to see you next week, bud.
No, I'll be away. I'll be in Boston for a nice wedding. My friend's wedding, get married. So we're going to be up there taking a little vacation with the wife. So I will not be here, but you will have the displeasure of listening to these guys without my sparkling personality.
God. All right. Well,
Tom can get some peace and quiet for losing debates for a week.
Oh, we can go to the chat if you want to see who you think won that debate. Corey didn't even agree with you.
No, Corey.
Yankees scare me right now, man. Yankees scare me. I'm still shell shocked from all the wins they had in the early part of my life. But anyway, I want to give a special shout. I know we're doing our last thank yous and goodbye. Good fan Raj 7191 in the chat, and his lovely wife Alex, who's also a very devout listener to the show. Early candidate for Rookie of the Year, about to give birth to their first daughter.
Hell yeah.
Could possibly be between now and our next show. Who knows? So congratulations to both of you.
Love it. Love it. Congratulations to you guys and gals. And again, thank you all for joining. Tom, you got anything for the faithful here?
I think I'm going to use this spot every week just to talk about the Baltimore Orioles and how they're going to not lose 100 games. Are they currently losing 9-0 to the Jays in 5 innings? Yes, but they were just coming off a 2-game winning streak against the Royals in Kansas City. Tough place to play out there this time of year. Got a tough stretch this week with the Jays and the Rays. So we'll check in again with them next week. But I got faith in my O's to not lose 100 baseball games this season.
Can't wait to see how that pans out. All right, guys and girls, we'll see you here next week. Joe, we'll see you here in 2 weeks' time. Take care.
Peace.